A date which will live in infamy.
Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream today. Yes, we can.
This is a story about possibly the greatest speech ever uttered in the history of Western civilization. So if you're a leader and you want to have more impact or more influence or create more memorable messages, there are 3 super practical lessons you can take away from this and implement immediately. Despite an obscure upbringing on the prairies of Illinois, this awkward and skinny man wanted to have an impact on the national stage. But over and over again, he failed. His business failed. When he went into politics, he lost election after election after election. He was ineffectual in debates. Finally, he won the election that mattered most to him, the presidency. And he found himself in the midst of the Civil War. So on November 19, 1863, the man that we know as Abraham Lincoln turned up at a gathering. It was a dedication of a cemetery for fallen soldiers, and he gave an unexpected speech. There was obviously no TV cameras present, definitely no social media. The speaker who spoke before him was renowned for his confidence, passion, eloquence, kept the audience spellbound for almost 2 hours and then sat down to rapturous applause. By the time Lincoln began his remarks, as he called them, the crowd had scattered, and within 2 to 3 minutes, he was finished, apparently being met by silence. He thought he had bombed. This speech is now known as the Gettysburg Address. Its impact at the time was profound, and it went viral via the newspapers as much as something could go viral in 1863, and it has become the most celebrated and memorable speech in American history. According to this book right here, there we go, that guy right there. According to this book, is the most quoted and most frequently recorded speech in history. It refers to it as Lincoln made the greatest and noblest speech of modern times, a speech that stands comparison with the Sermon on the Mount and the funeral oration of Pericles. Now, I know nothing about Pericles. He had a funeral oration apparently, but the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said that. That's my Jesus joke. What a comparison. Now here's a side note. This book was given to me in 1998. This is the first time I've opened it. Okay, that's not true. In the midst of the Civil War and the fight against slavery, Abraham Lincoln crafted a message that helped heal a broken nation and echoes with poignant meaning to this day. Now that is what I call influence. The broader context and timing of the speech is definitely relevant, but I think there are 3 things we can take away from the speech itself that we can all implement in our communication immediately. Oh my god, I don't know how long this video is so far, but I'm almost scared to say this first one because number 1 is brevity. We get it, brevity is good, but is it possible to be too brief? Put it this way, the Gettysburg Address was only 10 sentences long and 272 words, depends. He added under God, that wasn't the written bit, but he added under God on the spur of the moment. So I think that's the 2 words. Anyway, 272 words. Who cares how many words? What am I doing? 272, that's the point. At normal speaking speed, this is less than 2 minutes long. When was the last time you saw a presentation that was less than 2 minutes? Definitely not this video. I feel like a hypocrite right now. This video is already longer than 2 minutes. That's it. Cut it. Cut it. I know why I'm saying this. There's no one here to cut it. I'm alone in this office. I feel lonely. So here's a fun fact. When John F. Kennedy was preparing for his inaugural address when he became president, he asked his speechwriter, Ted Sorensen, to study all the greatest speeches in modern history. This was in 1961. When they studied the Gettysburg Address, they decided brevity was a must. JFK's address was one and still is one of the shortest inaugural addresses in history, but arguably one of the greatest and most memorable. Ask not what your country can do for you. That's the JFK impression from The Simpsons.
To express my fondness for a Duff beer.
They're actually much more high-pitched then.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Here's another fun fact. The longest inaugural address was delivered by William Henry Harrison in 1841. He delivered his 1 hour, 45-minute oration in a howling snowstorm without a hat or a coat. He came down with pneumonia and then he died. Oh, I should have done that with a different tone. And he died. I am making a bit light of this. Is it too soon? 1841. Here's the message. The less you say, the more people remember. Number 2 is preparation. It is easy to rabbit on. Brevity requires preparation. It was Mark Twain who said, "I'm sorry I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long letter instead." By all accounts, Lincoln spent a ridiculous amount of time preparing and refining those 272 words of the Gettysburg Address. And I bet it's more time than you spent preparing that 30-minute PowerPoint presentation you gave to the marketing team a couple of weeks ago. But hey, corporate life is busy, it's fast-paced, so if you don't have time to prepare like Lincoln, at least know your key message. What is your number 1 key message? Key takeaway. If you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. This brings us to number 3. Story. We know stories are powerful. Lincoln recognized that as well. He began 77 years ago. Does that sound at all familiar? How does a Disney movie start? Once upon a time. How do all the Star Wars movies start? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Here we go. I think he said it a bit like, I don't know, I haven't seen the movie Lincoln, but I do think it was sounded a little bit like this. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. This was before the women's liberation movement. This is how Lincoln influenced a nation. Lincoln's speech was actually a story. To the untrained eye, it might not look like a story, but it was the elements of story that made it truly connect and become memorable. It set the scene, it had conflict, it raised the stakes, and it had a hopeful, soaring climax and resolution. Takeaway, make your message connect, tell a story. Next time you have a message to share that really matters, take a leaf out of Lincoln's playbook. Whether it's a presentation, a meeting, a phone call, or simply a conversation, remember, brevity. The less you say, the more people remember. Preparation. If you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Story. Make your message connect, tell a story. These work for Lincoln, they can work for you. Getting in the world of Abraham Lincoln, that's pretty intense, but if you liked it, you can press like on the video. Yep, that's that little thumbs up thing. We'd love some feedback. Don't press this one, we don't like that sort of feedback. You can also subscribe, there's plenty of other videos coming down the pipe. I often say this channel is all for leaders or aspiring leaders who want to have a greater impact on the world, who want to become people of influence. If that's you, they've got plenty more videos coming down the pipe, so look forward to seeing you next time.